Please put your hands together for Mr. Amit Vadva.
Am I audible? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Do we have, oh my God. Okay, this is a stretched one. Anyway, we'll live with it. So, thank you everyone for still sitting in the room at 4:30. Not the time I would ideally want to take the stage, but it is what it is. I will try to infuse some AI into this session, which is, this AI is about, hopefully, will be about afternoon insomnia. I will try to infuse some insomnia in all of you and make sure that you guys are awake through this session. What I also promise is, unlike Mr. Kulkarni's session, I won't overshoot the time. I will try to stick to the time. And I will give you some pointers, which I feel are there for the future of the agencies. Now, you know, when this whole thing came about saying future of the agencies in the world of AI, I said, okay, the best thing is to ask the leader, it's the culprit itself, right? So I asked AI, what is the future of the agencies? And this is what AI dished out. And if you look at what all it says execution engines into strategic orchestrators, speed and precision, guiding brands through complexities. So in a nutshell, not such a bad scenario, right? Not such doom and gloom that we are talking about saying, what will AI do to the agencies? While AI feels it's largely positive. So that's a good note, right? Of course, that's a good way to start saying, okay, AI feels that there is a great future for the agencies. But if you look at, this is what AI said, right? That's AI. The whole idea is to say what I think, but I say. So we'll put the A out of it and we'll stick to the I part of it. Now, you know, honestly, why are we talking about this? The reality of it is, and the elephant in the room is, it stems out of fear. It stems out of fear because everyone in this industry is, either they're talking or they're thinking about whether we will be relevant, whether we will really make a difference, whether the remuneration will come down, whether the jobs will stay or not. That is the reality of it. And nothing new. Any change brings this uncertainty in our minds. And this is a huge change. I'm not trying to downplay it at all. This is possibly one of the biggest changes that we have seen probably in the world. Forget about the industry. AI is not just impacting our industry. Actually, it's impacting the other industries, possibly even more, telecom, coding, etc. Lots of industries being impacted, us also being there. But is change something which is new? Not really. You know, okay, let's go back to, say, 19th century. 19th century, this was mobility, right? The entire economy used to run around horses, blacksmiths, feeding, you know, what you feed the horses, how it runs, etc. Everything was around horses because mobility was a big thing. And that changed. That changed, of course, in the 1920s when mobility changed from horses to cars. This was the first car, right? This was the first car and it changed. Did we change the whole thing? Yes. Did it cease to exist? No. I think many new, you know, it only moved the whole economy to a different era. Many people got new jobs, but the world evolved, and the world evolved in a much better way. Our industry has seen many of these car inventions also. If you look at it, where we were a print industry. We used to long copy ads. Most of you possibly won't even remember those things, right? Long copy ads was the big deal. It was the art. If you don't have it, you are not good enough for advertising. Came radio, and it moved from reading to listening. And that changed. The people had to shift. People had to change. Who changed did fantastically well. Then we moved into, okay, not just listening, you see and listen, which is the video part of it, which is when television came into picture. And I think that changed. Did that mean that agencies were not important? I think agencies became even more important as we moved along, but only for those who managed to change with the change. Very recently, one thing which has changed the advertising industry more than anything else is tech. You know, again, when tech came in, everyone said it's too cold for an agency or an idea to come alive. If you look at any of the ideas winning in, say, the award shows, or any of the ideas which is actually winning hearts of people, it's with tech. You know, of course, I'm from Dentsu, and I'll talk about my ideas. For example, if you've seen the one which we've done for DSP mutual funds, which is Garud Rakshak, or I don't know if you've seen the Motorola one, which is Deep Connect, or not done by us, but the Cadbury one. You know, all of them were tech. And from an era of saying audio-visual to tech, because the experience is very, very different. So we've seen changes. This is a big change. This is a change bigger than any one of them. That's the truth. Let me not downplay it. But having said that, we have seen changes like that. And this is our automobile moment, right? We can choose to either stick to the horse or move to the car. And I'm sure most of us, and so the theme itself of this one is about moving to the car part of it. Now, there's every right to feel a little threatened, because AI can write, AI can create images, AI can throw insights which we can create quick media plans on. AI can tell you how quickly you can connect with your consumers. But what AI can't do, AI will give you lots and loads and loads of answers to you. What AI will not do is the right questions. The right questions sits with us. And you ask anyone else outside the industry, if you're talking about brand building, will they ask the right questions? No. Will we ask the right questions? Absolutely yes. I feel the best prompt person in a creative agency would be the creative person or the strategy person, because they know exactly what builds brands. So, but will they keep doing what they're doing? No, they have to change. They need to know what exactly are those tools. And I'm not just talking about creative, right? We're also talking about strategy. We're talking about, you know, brainstorming. There are brainstorming tools now. So I think things are changing, but at the same time, questions will always be bigger than answers. And the questions will come from human beings. Also, the one thing is that if you look at it, human beings are the people who will always unlock what's new. They will tell you about cultural tensions. They will actually unlock emotions. They will tell you new stories, not stories that have happened. And they will hallucinate less than what AI does. So in a nutshell, I think the good part is that agencies who will change and who will adapt will certainly be very, very important. Now, what I feel is that if you look at where agencies were earlier, if you remember the erstwhile agency groups, the creative, the media part was all together. There used to be one single agency that used to talk to the client, and we were partners to the client. we disintegrated, right? We disintegrated, we became creative agencies, and creative agencies became digital agencies and mainline agencies, and then digital agencies became influencer agencies, and we broke those agencies into such small parts that we slowly started becoming insignificant. We started becoming insignificant because we had 2.2% of the share or 1.1% of the share of the client. What AI is doing is actually it's bringing back everything together. It's the great leveler. It's breaking those silos. If you look at what AI is doing is, the creative guy is also understanding the media side of things. The creative guy is also understanding what insights to unlock. The media person is understanding what creatives working quickly, what is the performance side of things. So it's actually coming back. If you look at any of the groups, most advertising groups are actually coming back to that. We as Dentsu have taken that whole stance of actually, like I was heading Dentsu Creative only, as in that's where I came from, but I head creative and the media brands now. And it is not just creative and media, it is about sports, it is about influencer, it is about content, everything coming back as one. And why is it happening so quickly is because of AI. That is the truth of it. And every agency, every group will do that. I promise you that. And any small agency doing fantastically well, they will be doing everything. You just see that. They will be owning the entire brand, and that's where they will do well. So my point is over here is that I think everything is taking a full circle. We are coming back to where we were. We will be far more integrated, and that's thanks to AI. And there are only two ways to look at it. Either we look at AI as competition, and I promise you we will shrink. Most people will. Most people are, whoever is taking AI as competition. This is the age of collaboration. You see musicians collaborating with musicians. We see, all kinds, brands collaborating with different brands. We are talking about collaboration going to a different level. And collaboration comes from a sense of security. If you're secure, then you are okay coming on, one singer is okay coming up on stage with another singer because you're not being threatened saying my voice possibly is not as good as this person's voice. It is about when the two come together, there is magic that is bound to happen. And I think that is the beauty of AI. If we embrace it, we will be fantastical. And fantastical not just in sense of, being very, efficient, because I think whenever we say AI, we only think of efficiency. I think AI can bring in a lot of magnificence in terms of what we create and how sooner can we go to market, etc. But what will actually help any agency is the people, is the kind of people. And every time that's what we've been saying. What is an agency? Agency is not built out of machines. Agency is built of people. But the kind of people in this era is going to change. And the kind of people in this era is changing. If you look at it, I'm sure, when you look at any of the job descriptions that is being laid out there, it's very poorly put out right now. AI as a word is put out, but if you look at in reality, what are you looking at? You're looking at someone who understands the craft, someone who understands brands, someone who also understands technology, someone who's embraced AI, someone who's using tools on a daily basis. So it's not that you just want an AI understanding person, but someone who doesn't understand brands. You don't want that. You don't want that person. You don't want a person who understands brands brilliantly, but does not want to embrace change. That is the worst combination, right? If you don't want to embrace change, then I think your history very, very soon. So I think what we are looking for is what we are calling as hybrid thinkers. These are hybrid natives, so to say. And, these are people who will understand and be very comfortable with data, as well as be comfortable with creating stories. They will also talk about AI, but also be very instinctive. Because if you lose the instinct, the whole magic's gone. They will understand media. but at the same time, they will understand creative. And that, I think, that hybrid thinking is exactly where the world of agencies is moving. And this is not just about how we used to say junior people, younger logon ko le aao, and the younger ones will know the tech part of it. And I think everyone needs to know it. I need to know it. You need to know it. Everyone else needs to know it. So I think the whole idea over here is make sure that we all are hybrid thinkers, right from the top to the bottom level. And I think that's where change is going to happen. And, you know, it sounds big in terms of words, but if you actually look at it, the ideas are going to be richer. They will travel much more faster, and agencies actually truly will become growth partners with the clients. We've somewhere lost our path. We used to be sitting, I remember, I used to work on Pepsi. I used to handle the entire finance of it. I could spend on behalf of Pepsi because I used to own that. For 5 years, I did not sip a sip of Coke. I would not go to a restaurant which served Coke, and my family was sick of me because I used to own it, right? I used to sit on the table there taking decisions on behalf of the brand. I think somewhere we just drifted apart. This is our chance to go back because we are not just talking about, because look at it, look at the clients, they're also changing. They want someone who can really tide them through this change. And this change can happen brilliantly if we are, we are integrated and we are talking about a full journey for them and owning that entire journey. So yeah, I think that's my belief and very strong belief that, this is the possibility that we need to own. And I feel there is a pessimistic view out there. If you ask someone from my age and era, they will say, wo din the. Those were the days, it was brilliant. I feel ye din hai. I don't think there was ever a time where we could do more in terms of creative. If you look at the kind of creativity, there's much more. We are more connected. We know that with the press of a button, we can actually reach anywhere and everywhere. And impactful, right? We are not just agencies building brands. We are actually agencies as also impacting business. Performance marketing is a big, big part of what we do. It's not just about leads, actually conversions now. So it is not just brand building, it's also business impact. So I think I don't think there was a better time. You need to have an open mind. You need to make sure that you change with times. And I think that's the mantra. And I will leave you with 3 things which I have said to all the people internally. 3 things that will make the agencies of tomorrow really thrive. You have to be a hybrid. If you think you will only thrive on AI, only thrive on tech, you will be very, very limited in play and never know, very soon you will go out of fashion. You need to be a hybrid person. You need to know building brands. You need to know what works on the medium. You need to know how it sells. You need to know AI. I think that hybrid thinking is super critical. And whoever we hire needs to be, the person who needs to be a hybrid thinker. I can't emphasize enough more on integrated part. I think it's the most abused word in this industry. Everyone says, integrated offering. They offer zilch. The truth is you actually need to come back together as not just creative and media, as creative media and everything else. Sports is such a huge thing. Influencer is such a thing. And, honestly, we've not even scratched the surface. There's so much more. But integration is key to actually being super successful for any agency in the future. And I think most agencies are moving in that zone. And lastly, and most importantly, we have to be open. We haven't seen the change which is going to come. We are talking and getting worried of the change which have already come. There is lots which is happening. There is lots which will happen. And if we are not open, if we are not making sure that we keep evolving with time, I think we will all be defunct very, very soon. So I think having a hybrid environment, making sure that we are integrated, making sure that we have an open view is very critical. That's what I believe. That's how we are trying to build Dentsu. And I feel very strongly, yes, I'm worried, but I'm more optimistic than I'm worried. And I think that's what is the most exciting part. And I truly feel the best is yet to come. We are in a great space. And yeah, with 23 seconds left, I've finished my session like I promised. I was on time, better than Mr. Kulkarni. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, guys.